I think ignorance, the thrill-seeking aspect of being a teen. I used to hang out with people who used to like to high dive off of rocks. You know, we used to dive up from 30 feet up and stuff and do flips and all kinds of stuff. That was part of that. You know, I grew up with a bunch of skiers up in Mount Hood. We used to, you know, jump off cliffs. You know? I mean, we did crazy stuff. But, you know, that sort of aspect of being a teen, I think some of these drug folks capitalize on that. So maybe you've been having alcohol or something and you want to try something different, you know, or somebody says, hey man, this will really get you better high. That aspect of it, which I think is based on ignorance, a lot of people don't do this to become addicts. They do it by accident. They get involved with certain people who do certain things, and all of a sudden they're trying it, and I think that's a big contributor. When they talk about peer pressure, it's not so much peer pressure like somebody saying, man, you got to try this, man, you got to try this, you know, kind of pressuring you into it. It's more like you're in a situation like a party, and there's no adults around for supervision, and somebody, you know, for weeks you've been doing parties and stuff, and it's just been beer and maybe a little hard liquor or something like that, and all of a sudden somebody else brings in something and says, hey, you should try this, and sometimes you get a group who will try that under those circumstances. And that's where I think a lot of people get in trouble, because some of these drugs are powerful enough. They used to scare us when we were kids about, oh, you could be instantly addicted. Well, the thing is that meth is powerful enough that you can actually get addicted from one or two uses to the point where that's all you want to do. And you feel so, you know, the truth of the matter is the first couple of times it feels really great. But then your body basically changes and you require more and more and more, and all of a sudden you're going down this terrible path. So, and some of it is pain. You know, sometimes people are in a painful situation at home, or, you know, they don't have enough to eat or things like that, and drugs become kind of a substitute for life, or for what, you know, the pain that they're feeling. It's a way to deal with it, but it's a dangerous way. So there are many reasons for it, but I think the ignorance of it is the primary reason, because we're finding that most people, most reasonable people, most teens are reasonable. They really are. And so most reasonable teens, when they're given all the facts about things, they will basically make decisions that are healthy. Another thing that we find is if you're in your home life, if your parents, we find that teens who eat dinner on a regular basis with their parents, if that's able to happen, you know, because a lot of home situations that's not possible. But in those times when the parents get a chance to really talk to the kids, and those families have less of problems than those who don't. But again, there's a lot of families where that's not possible. So the teen has to sort of make up his or her own mind that this is something they're not going to do. I actually worked with a class of teens in Park Rose High School who were drug addicts, I mean high school kids, and they basically had been led into it, a lot of it, by adults, you know, and some of them by their own parents, which is, for me, it's a horrible thing. I'm a parent. I mean, just imagine that you do that to your kid, but they get so out of it with their own use that they turn on their kids. These kids had made the decision, who were in this class, they had made their own personal decision that they weren't going to do this anymore, and that's why they were in this class, and they were basically working their way out of that kind of a situation deliberately, after having been exposed and using it, many of them for 4 or 5 or 6 years. Some of them started as young as 8 or 9 years old. You know, which to me is just like the biggest crime you could have against a kid. So you wonder why I get motivated. Well, this is the kind of thing that keeps me motivated to do this kind of work.